What's up guys, Raiouza here. Today we have a deck profile on Harri. So this is post the recent set Divine Dragon Apocrypha with the new Harri Strides and Zeroth Dragon Dust. So starter, still Happy's Collector. Happy's Collector is literally the best starter for Pale Moon right now for the Harri build. Incredible card. It gives you so much draw power to the deck, and it is just hard to decrease their hand once they start going for the most part, unless you can rush them down earlier on. So once they start going with this starter, their hand will just keep on coming. So yeah, Happy's Collector is an incredible card. So triggers, got 4 of the Fighters Collection heals, because that's all they have. The only skill heal that Harri has right now. Then we are running 8 stand triggers. We are running Sky High Walker and Prankster Girl Mirrorland, because these are literally the best stand triggers that the deck can ever use. We have the stands that we can constantly bring out of the soul to keep on using the skill to countercharge and keep our counterblasts easily manageable if possible. And then we have the Prankster Girl, who gives us deck thinning and keeps our stands in deck, making multi-attacks more possible to pull off in the deck. And then heals are heals, of course. Really not much to explain about heals. And then, of course, we are running... This is a shock. We are running 4 critical. We are running 2 Darkside Swordmaster and 2 Dixies. Swordmaster is the standard Harri crit. We only really need 2 because we can easily abuse this if we wanted to for other draw power besides the starter. And the Dixies give us a recyclable crit that we can use if need be, especially when the deck gets low, which is something this deck easily sees happen. Now for the grade 1s, we are running 4 copies of Betty. People I see only run 1 or anywhere between 3 and less. That is not a good idea. You want 4 Betty because the multi/combo attacks this card gives off is incredible, especially having Paradin in the same column. Because what you want to do is you go Betty Paradin at the end of battle card +1, shove Paradin to soul, call it back out, get the soul charge, use this pure call skill to get another Betty out. And you can keep that up as many times as you can pay the cost for Betty's counterblast, or until you've replaced all of them. And then after you've used your last Betty and you use Paradin to call something else, you can always pure call our next card, 3 Cutie Paratroopers, because it is a Magia skill, and when Cutie's called off of Magia, you can soul charge 1 to call out something from soul, which most of the time you're gonna end up calling out a Darkside Princess, who you would end up making a 19k attacker on her own, but for column it would end up being a 26k, which is really good. Next you have 2 copies of the Stride Fodder Masquerade Bunny. We still want to see them just in case we don't see a grade 3s for some reason, because we're usually putting them in the soul to add to hand later off of Phantom Harri's skill. And then we are running, of course, 2 purple Trapezes. Allows us to move our Paradin back to soul after calling it off of Betty, because after Betty calls it out, it's no longer called for Magia, so it will stay on the board. So then we are running 3 copies of Lovely Companion, another combo card we use. We use her usually to call out the Paradin to give us our soul and thin the deck a little bit. And then we also have 1 Lydia because we are running a copy of Wandering Dragon. So grade 2s. Running 4 copies of Flying Paradin, Paradin. It is one of the best grade 2s in the deck, if not the best grade 2. It gives us, it's honestly very valuable to the deck. You generate so much soul because you constantly use a skill, especially when you're doing it with the Betty combo. It's incredible. Running 2 copies of Crescent Moon Juggler. Most of the time, you're just going to use him early game to swing with, but you can use him, like when you use your G Guardian, that Superior calls from Soul, you can always call him out, use his skill, get out a Paradin, and you have 2 intercepts to work with them, or any other grade 2 you can call off. Then we're running 2 copies of Darkside Princess, a easy 14k attacker at all times, but after the end battle just goes Soul, so we usually will preserve it then later on for a more power up turn. And then finally, this is something new that I added in. This was my friend's Pale Moon deck originally, but I made changes to it after I picked it up, and this was one really good one I found out about. Running 2 copies of Misdirection. Now, some people might not know why this card's in the deck, but I'm about to explain now. When you're at Generation Break 1, we'll put the Sivrees out for example, and you already have the starter out, say you use you Generation Guard with Magia. With the skill, Superior call out Paradin right on in front of her, of the Happiness Collector. Since something was called for Soul, Misdirection skill activates. Superior call her. Use Cutie's skill. Actually, wait, first you call out the Paradin off of the Magia. Use the skill, Soul, move it to Soul, draw a card, Soul Charge 1. Paradin skill, Soul Charge another 1, call it back out, and then Misdirection skill triggers since something was called with Soul, you call it out, and then Happiest Collector triggers once again, and you get a +2 off the one Magia, which is honestly incredible. You're getting 2 cards for the price of using 1 card to guard with, which is absolutely incredible. So, let me just move that back. So, moving on to the rest of the deck now. Grade 3s, we were running our 4 Phantom Harrys, the main ride target of the deck, and then 4 of Masked Magician Harry. We're running 4 and 4 because we now have the Zeroth Dragon Dust, so we want to make sure that regardless which Harry we're on, that we have enough to fulfill the ultimate stride cost for a pretty much instant victory. Which honestly, in terms of Dust, you want to be on Phantom Harry more. Like, say, if you ended up using your whole hand to defend, but you end up using a Magia to Superior Call from Soul in your opponent's turn, Harry's skill will trigger at the end of the turn, and you can fetch a copy of himself from Soul to hand, and then Ultimate Stride next turn, assuming you have the counter blasts necessary for it. So next we have the G units for starting off the fields. We're running 3 copies of Magia, one of the best heals for Harry, actually the best heal for Harry, because we get most of our draw combos off of this, combined with our Happiness Collector, Flying Paradin, and Misdirection. It's because of these cards that we get so much advantage over our opponents. Then we're running 1 copy of Wandering Dragon, as I said, because we run the 1 copy of Lydia, which is a regular perfect guard. And then we're running 1 copy of Furnival, because Selective Soul Charge is really good, and plus it gets extra 5,000 power shield. And then finally we're running 1 of the Fighters Collection G-Guard for in scenarios where we can't use Wandering Dragon, because we don't have the Lydia in Soul. So we want to get at least a high enough value shield to guard big attacks like Drag Strider Ruard, or even Gilles de Res, or whatever stops you from guarding a Grave on a Greater that has a Glory skill. So, next up is our Strides. We're running 4 copies of the new Harry Stride, which gives us our counter Link Joker, and gives us multi attacks besides Paradin. So I'm not going to go over it now. I'm going to probably let my friend go over it in the combo video, but that's pretty much just what he does. He just moves a couple cards to soul, not rear guards. Cards, meaning it can move locked stuff to soul as well, meaning it doesn't trigger the Chaos Breaker Crisis. And then you can call out 2 units, and it gives 3k to your front row or all your rear guards with Magia, I believe. Yeah, 3k to all your rear guards with Magia for each face of Harri card in your G zone. Then we are running 3 copies of Mephisto, because Mephisto is a really good stride for the deck. This is what I was talking about for like power turns for like our Dark Side Princess. So ideally what you do on a Mephisto turn is if you end up calling out 2 units, you call out the Flying Paradin usually, and the Cutie Paratrooper. And what you'll do with the Cutie Paratrooper is you'll soul charge and call out the Dark Side Princess, and then Paradin you'll probably end up calling out Betty. And so, since you called the Cutie off of Mephisto, this is going to become a 32 or 33k column. This would be 33, yeah, 33k column. This would be on Mephisto if you called out 2 units. Actually, even if you just called, forget that. We'll say it's 33, which is actually really good. So moving on to the rest of the cards in our G zone. We are running 1 copy of Fairfield for insurance of victory. Now, what I mean by that is, usually you will go into him when your deck is so thin and has usually only pretty much stand triggers or maybe 1 critical or so. Usually the scenario for Fairfield is you end up just putting back a bunch of stands. You go in your rear guards first, usually a princess and a cutie in the same column, which is going to end up being a, let's see, princess is a 14k on her own. If you call out the cutie from actually no, you would end up calling the princess from Fairfield. Okay, it doesn't matter, whatever. You end up calling out, you'll have maybe 3 units, we'll say. 3-4 units. You'll end up going in with Fairfield. Your drive check will probably end up being possibly all stand triggers. You get guaranteed extra 2 attacks with even bigger numbers. So Fairfield is usually a guaranteed win, especially when you know your deck count and exactly what is in the deck, which usually you're going to see a lot of stand triggers on him on a Fairfield turn. So finally we are running 1 Sabreeze because Sabreeze is Sabreeze, and we can actually win on a Sabreeze turn because of this deck's aggression. And plus we can easily get back our counterblasts, as I said, with Sky High Walker, which we can easily abuse in this deck. And then finally, to wrap it all up, we are running 1 copy of Xerath Dragon of End of the World Dust. Dust is absolutely freaking incredible in this deck. If you go into Dust and you have the Paradin Betty combo, just forget it. Your opponent's not winning at that point. They are dead if you have enough counterblasts to go in with Betty and Paradin. Sometimes what can happen is you end up having 2 or even 3 heals in hand, and you'll be sitting at GB3 for your first stride, and you can easily just go right into Dust for the win. And then you just go off with your Paradins and Bettys, maybe your Cutie and Darkside Princess as well. So that was it for the deck profile. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Maybe subscribe for some more content. Actually, there's no if. There's going to be some fight videos coming in the future. But, yeah, this was the Harri deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. This is Raiouza signing off. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.